Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring something kind of interesting. It might raise a few eyebrows too.
Yeah.
We're taking a look at this ancient Taoist perspective on male sexuality. And to do that, we're diving deep into an excerpt from The Multi Orgasmic Man. It's by Mantak Chia and Douglas Abrams Arava.
Oh, this book. Yeah, this book is really going to challenge some pretty common assumptions
All right.
about what's possible, when it comes to male pleasure.
It definitely seems to shake things up. Right off the bat, the authors claim this book can help men reach their full sexual potential. And by that they mean experiencing multiple orgasms. I mean, is that even real?
It's a question. It's a question many people have for sure. The book tackles it head on, though, by blending these ancient Taoist practices with modern scientific insights.
So they're not just relying on these centuries-old traditions?
Right. For example, they draw parallels to findings by Alfred Kinsey, a renowned Western sex researcher who observed back in the 1940s that some men could actually experience orgasm without ejaculating. It's like this knowledge has been out there,
right,
but not really talked about.
Yeah, that's interesting because the book also mentions this. Skeptical software salesman.
Oh, yeah.
Who tried the exercises and ended up experiencing 6 orgasms in one go.
Wow.
He even reported feeling more energized the next day, which totally flips the script on the idea that sexual release is always draining.
It does challenge conventional thinking.
Yeah.
And that's where the Taoist perspective comes in.
Right.
See, they view sexual energy not just as something to be spent, but as this vital life force, a kind of jing that can be cultivated and circulated for overall well-being.
That's a far cry from the typical get-off mentality we often see.
Exactly. It's more about longevity, personal growth, and harnessing that energy. Think of it like internal martial arts, or what they call sexual kung fu.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued, but also a little lost. What exactly is sexual kung fu?
So it's a system of practices designed to cultivate and control sexual energy. Imagine learning to master your sexual responses.
Right.
Kind of like a martial artist trains their body. It's about directing that powerful energy for greater vitality, pleasure, and even spiritual growth, according to the Taoists.
So it's not just about lasting longer in bed.
It's bigger than that.
Okay.
It's about transforming sexual energy into a source of power and vitality that benefits your entire life.
Yeah.
Not just your sex life.
So how does this whole multiple orgasm thing actually work?
So the book dives into the idea that for men, orgasm and ejaculation are actually separate processes.
Okay.
They claim men can experience the pleasurable sensations of orgasm multiple times without needing to release semen each time.
Okay, but how? They keep mentioning breathing exercises.
Yeah, the Taoists consider breath control the foundation.
Okay.
It's about learning to use deep controlled belly breathing to regulate arousal and manage sexual energy.
So it's not just about holding your breath.
Not at all. It's more about cultivating a deep awareness of your breath and using it to influence your physical and energetic state. They liken it to learning to drive a car. You need to master the gas pedal before you can hit the open road.
That makes sense. They also talk about strengthening something called the PC muscle.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
The PC muscle plays a critical role in controlling ejaculation. They describe it as a kind of valve you can learn to consciously control. The book details exercises like PC pull-ups, designed to strengthen this muscle.
They even mention techniques like the $1 million point and scrotal tug, which sounds...
Yeah, those techniques are about using precise physical touch to help regulate arousal and redirect energy flow. It's best to learn them directly from the book as they require careful practice.
So it's not just breathing, but a whole body approach.
Right. It's a system of practices that work together.
Yeah.
They even talk about drawing sexual energy up the spine for what they call whole body orgasms. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
For sure.
This is all pretty mind-blowing. What stands out to you so far?
What strikes me is how differently the Taoists view male sexuality. It's not about performance or reaching a single climax, but about harnessing energy, cultivating pleasure, and connecting deeply with yourself and your partner. It's a completely different paradigm.
I'm with you there. This deep dive is already challenging. A lot of assumptions I had. It makes you wonder, what else are we missing? And how might applying these ideas actually change things?
That's exactly what we're going to unpack next. There's a lot more to explore in this excerpt, especially when it comes to relationships and the potential for shared experiences.
Okay, let's dive in.
All right. Yeah, it really does make you rethink things, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And speaking of things that sound like a whole other dimension, can we go back to the whole body orgasm idea? That one really caught my attention.
It's a concept that takes some unpacking. The Taoists believe you can actually draw sexual energy up your spine and circulate it throughout your body.
Instead of that energy building up and needing to be released, you're redirecting it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They call this technique the big draw.
Right.
And the book describes it as transforming that localized, intense energy into a more diffused, full-body experience.
And this leads to a different kind of orgasm.
That's what the book suggests. They compare it to. The feeling of energy flowing through your body during a good workout or a deep meditation session.
Okay, that makes it a little easier to grasp. But I imagine this takes some serious practice, right? You can't just flip a switch and suddenly be a master of your sexual energy.
You're right. It's a skill that needs to be cultivated. Right. The book emphasizes patience, consistency, and a willingness to experiment.
Okay.
It's about gradually increasing the intensity of the exercises, not pushing yourself too hard, especially in the beginning.
So it's almost like training for a marathon.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go from couch potato to running 26 miles overnight.
Exactly. And just like with physical training, safety and mindfulness are key.
Right.
The book stresses the importance of listening to your body and respecting your limits as you explore these practices.
Okay, that makes me feel a little more comfortable, to be honest. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about how this all plays out in a relationship. Does the Multi-Orgasmic Man only focus on solo practices?
Not at all. The book emphasizes mutual understanding and communication.
Okay.
It encourages couples to explore this together, to become what they call a multi-orgasmic couple.
So it's not just about the man having multiple orgasms,
right,
but about both partners experiencing a deeper level of intimacy.
That's the idea.
Okay.
The book even dedicates a whole chapter to techniques for women, recognizing that. Female sexuality is just as complex and multifaceted.
They also mention specific thrusting techniques like alternating between shallow and deep thrusts to help men control their arousal and prolong the experience. But it sounds like it's really about finding a rhythm that works for both partners.
Yeah.
Not just following a script.
I think that's key.
Yeah.
It's about creating a shared experience.
Right.
Connecting on a deeper level. And exploring new realms of pleasure together.
One thing that really stood out to me was how the book addresses common male sexual issues.
Yeah.
Like premature ejaculation and impotence.
They reframe these challenges from a Taoist perspective.
Okay.
Instead of viewing them as sources of shame or inadequacy, they're seen as opportunities for growth and healing.
That feels so much more empowering
than
the way these issues are often discussed.
It is.
It's not about fixing something broken, but about exploring your full potential.
It's about recognizing that your body has an innate wisdom.
Yeah.
And that by working with it, rather than against it, you can achieve greater balance and well-being.
All of this is incredibly fascinating. But is there any scientific evidence to support these ideas? Or is it purely based on ancient wisdom?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that many people ask. Western sciences. Still catching up in this area. There's growing evidence to suggest that multiple orgasms for men are indeed possible.
We talked earlier about Alfred Kinsey's research.
Right.
Which supports the idea that men can experience orgasm without ejaculation.
Right. And more recent studies have delved into the physiological mechanisms behind this phenomenon. It's fascinating to see how ancient wisdom and modern science are starting to converge on this topic.
It really highlights how much we still have to learn about the human body and its capabilities. Now, the book also touches on the connection between sexual energy and longevity. Is there any truth to that, or is it just mystical thinking?
It's a concept that's been around for centuries across many cultures.
The Taoists believe that by conserving and redirecting sexual energy, men can enhance their vitality and promote longevity.
So it's not just about living longer, but about living a more vibrant and fulfilling life.
Exactly. It's about harnessing that energy for personal growth, spiritual development, and overall well-being. They view sexual energy as a precious resource that can be channeled for so much more than just procreation.
We've been focusing mainly on the male perspective, but the book also mentions techniques for women.
Yes.
What's their take on female sexuality?
They acknowledge
Yeah.
that women are naturally multi-orgasmic.
Okay.
And encourage men to learn how to support their partners in achieving their full sexual potential. It's about creating a more balanced and fulfilling sexual dynamic.
So it's not about one partner dominating or outperforming the other,
Right.
but about working together to create a shared experience.
That's a key point. The book emphasizes mutual pleasure and shared exploration.
As the foundation for a truly fulfilling sexual relationship.
I'm really starting to see how this perspective could shift our understanding of sexuality as a whole. It's not just about the act itself, but about energy, connection, and personal growth.
It's a much broader and more holistic view than what's typically presented in Western culture. And it begs the question, what would happen if these ideas were more widely known and accepted? How might our society change?
That's a question worth exploring. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
I think we need to pause here and take a moment to digest everything we've covered so far.
Okay.
This is a lot to take in.
You're right. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Let's take a breath and come back refreshed for the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Where we'll tackle that very question about the potential societal implications of these ideas.
All right. I think I've had a minute to process all that.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about, isn't it?
It really is. We covered so much ground already.
Yeah.
You know, from these ancient Taoist practices to like modern scientific research. It's clear that this excerpt from The Multi Orgasmic Man challenges
Yeah.
a lot of assumptions about male sexuality.
It certainly does. And as we were saying before, like, the implications extend far beyond just the bedroom.
Yeah.
You know, if men were to embrace this multi-orgasmic potential, how might that impact their lives as a whole?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Currently, so much of male identity, especially in the West, seems tied to performance, to that single climax.
Right.
If we shift the focus to pleasure, connection, and longevity, what happens?
It makes you wonder if we might see, like, a different expression of masculinity emerge.
Yeah.
Could it lead to less aggression?
Yeah.
More emotional openness and deeper intimacy in relationships?
It's fascinating to consider. And let's not forget how the book challenges this idea that male sexuality inevitably declines with age.
Exactly. The Taoists believe that cultivating sexual energy can actually enhance vitality. As men get older, it's like they're saying your best sex might be ahead of you.
It's definitely a more optimistic and empowering perspective than the typical narrative around aging and sexuality.
It is, and it's not just about the physical aspects either.
Right.
The book also suggests this practice can lead to a greater sense of peace, purpose, and even spiritual growth.
It really seems like a holistic approach to life.
Yeah.
Connecting physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being.
Right. It makes you wonder, what if this knowledge was more widely known and accepted?
Yeah.
How might it impact our society as a whole?
Could it lead to a more balanced, less adversarial relationship between the sexes?
Yeah.
Could it foster greater understanding and compassion?
These are important questions to ponder.
Yeah.
While we don't have all the answers.
Right.
It's clear that The Multi-Orgasmic Man presents a unique and potentially transformative perspective on male sexuality. Yeah.
One that challenges us to rethink our assumptions and embrace new possibilities.
It's a reminder that there's always more to learn, more to explore, and that our bodies are capable of far more than we often realize.
This deep dive has been a journey of discovery.
It really has.
And it's really just the beginning. If you're intrigued by what you've heard today, I highly encourage you to seek out the book and embark on your own exploration of this ancient wisdom.
Right.
You might be surprised by what you find.
I think that's a great place to wrap up this deep dive. We've only scratched the surface of a vast and fascinating topic, but hopefully we've sparked your curiosity and given you some food for thought.
Remember, knowledge is power. And understanding our sexual selves is a powerful step towards living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
So until next time, keep diving.